Good afternoon, Uplift friends. The date is April 30th, 2024. The time is 4:36. I'd like to welcome everyone to this meeting of the Uplift Education Board of Trustees. To ensure we have a quorum present, I'm going to read out the names of the members of the Executive Committee, and if you are here, please be so kind as to say present. Colin Clark, present. Dr. Lael Melville.
Present.
Thank you. John Becker.
Present.
Simon Chen.
Present.
Pilar Davies.
Present.
Ricky Garcia.
Present.
Rusty Jaggers.
Present.
Cameron Johnson.
Present.
Andre McEwing. John McPherson.
Present.
Carol Montgomery.
Present.
James Stanton.
Present.
Christine Vandevelde.
Present.
All but one. This is great. Thank you all for being here, and I do note that we have a quorum of the Executive Committee present, and I call to order this meeting of the Board of Uplift Education. Our first item of business tonight, this afternoon, is the Community Forum, and Alex is going to manage this for the board. Alex, do we have any community members signed up to speak this evening?
We do not. We can move on to the next item.
Thank you so much, Alex. Our next item is to hear from Alan Tollison. Mr. Tollison, good to see you. Mr. Tollison is the Regional Director of Operations and our School Safety Lead, and he's going to give us a summary of findings related to a state intruder detection audit. So thank you, Mr. Tollison, for the work you're doing.
Yeah, that's right. Good to see everybody. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to share just the kind of most recent findings of our intruder detection audit. So we've had a total up to this point for the school year of 19 audits. I'm excited to share that of the 19, all of them have passed the weekly door sweep documentation component. So that's where they're checking to see that on-site administration is checking every exterior door to ensure it's locked and functioning properly. They've all passed the intruder detection portion where the auditor tries to grab a series of random doors and tries to come in. They were not able to do that at any of our campuses, which is where we want to be. And then the third piece is that they walk with the operations director to check every single door, cafeteria, all the side doors and everything. There's going to be about up to 40 doors at a K-12 campus. Check all of them to make sure that they're closing and locking. So through those audits, we did have one campus with findings from that from the last time I shared the update, and that was at our Uplift Grand campus. And one of the doors, it was locked, but then there was something kind of preventing it from closing all the way. And then the second was a cafe door that was unlocked for arrival, and then they came in the morning before the staff member locked it back. So to address that, automatically the staff that work in that building receive a training from the operations director to say, hey, you know what you're supposed to do, but keep an extra eye out on these doors. And they've had that training, and we'll continue to send out reminders to all our campuses. So the headline is we're really kind of proud of our campuses. There's so many doors and so much to keep up with scholars and families and staff members coming and going throughout the day. But certainly as we see findings like the one at Grand, we'll make sure they jump on it and that we get correct those things right away. So that's a look at where we are now. We expect to have 2 or 3 more. We're not sure if they're going to double ding us with the Luna and visit Luna at the new location, but that's a possibility. But yeah, that's a look at our summary findings so far.
Any questions for Mr. Tollison? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Tollison, thank you so much for the incredibly important work that you do and for getting all the details so right. We appreciate it. Okay. Next, we will hear from Leslie and Amanda for a finance and enrollment update. So Leslie and Amanda.
Thank you. All right, we're going to start with enrollment.
Hi everyone, I'll kick us off with a quick enrollment update. We'll ground ourselves with our current enrollment for this year. We're at about 22,276. In the middle here, you'll see our day before school number. So remember, this is the number that we try to enroll 26,700 kids before school starts, because we know that there's a drop-off on the first day of school of withdrawals of both current and new scholars. So this is the number that we'll continue to watch until September. And from there, we're going to switch over to our full house number. Full house is at about 25,000, and this is the number that our teams will continue to enroll to throughout first semester as folks leave us. And essentially, you can see that this is higher than our budget target, the number that Leslie is working with, because this ensures that we're staying above our budget target and accounts for withdrawals and whatnot that happen throughout the year. So for the enrollment team, we're really focused right now on to our day before school number. Our re-enrollment right now is at 88%, so we have just over 19,000 of our scholars re-enrolled. We have about 1,000 scholars that we're continuing to contact to, get an answer from those folks. We've also processed about 4,000 new scholars. So we have 4,000 new scholars enrolled and 1,000 scholars in process. And so that will help us get to our day before school number. We have about 2,500 applications to go. And just as a reminder, our apps are up slightly year over year, so we're tracking well there. And last year, between May and July, we received 5,000 applications. So we feel pretty confident that we'll get, we'll close this gap. There might be, schools or grade levels a bit off, but that's kind of the path that we're looking to get to our day before school.
One thing I might just add for Amanda's our commentary is re-enrollment. Remember, like, our schools are free, right? So parents don't have to put down a deposit or anything for the next school year. And legally, they have their spot until the first few days of school. First few days of school, they have to provide all the related documentation to us, like immunization records and those kinds of things before we can drop them. So there's really, besides our urging of them to help us make sure we get our staffing right, it's a little bit of a tricky thing because parents do have to spend 15 minutes going through and like filling out their paperwork and everything to re-enroll. But there's nothing requiring them to do so until the first day of school. And so I'm really grateful to a huge team across the network in multiple departments that are literally just trying to hustle 1,000 families to say, please just tell us, even if you're going to do the paperwork that comes with it later. So we actually have a better idea. Is there a school where you bring in more new kids because re-enrollment is not exactly what we expect to do? As you can imagine, the schools vary in their re-enrollment rates, so we're kind of down to our final 5 to 7 campuses where there's real concentration and it matters to us to figure it out. But I just wanted to give that context on re-enrollment.
So questions on that? Just two parts. One is, do we have, I assume we have a kind of history-based model that may or may not be very reliable about,
It's actually very reliable.
oh, it's very reliable, great. Okay, well, in that way, we should, I guess the answer is easier. If saying we're going to re-enroll our children is kind of easy and it's just keeping an option open, no downside at all, we obviously lose a certain percentage. So what percentage do you think we would lose? And then once we adjust for that, how is this relative to where we really should be? I mean, it's hard for us to evaluate this 19 pre-report number without regard or without respect to some benchmark, some goal.
I think we're probably a couple percentage points down. I think it's been actually kind of at about 90% re-enrollment. And then I actually don't have the drop-off rate on top of my head. I can get it for you on because I don't know what it is split by like each percent of new families versus re-enrollment families, but I can get that.
We basically have turned down for every single school 5 rate for the past 3 years. So when we are deciding how much to like over-enroll a school for day before school, we know for that school and that grade level, this is what we historically see the fall off on the first day of school.
Is there a way to do something that's not costly to incentivize like free dress on whatever day or Sunday or?
Yeah, and our schools are now doing that with families, we're offering exactly those kinds of incentives. Like, here's a dress down pass that you can use with your submit and then
Matt, are you seeing any big changes in the competitive environment, either overall or in select sort of school catchment areas?
I mean, I've seen a lot of marketing. People are inundated from every couple of days, both districts and charter schools, which makes me wonder if there are, we know families have had multiple schools,
Yes.
multiple schools,
work that we're doing around the athletic field. So in this time of like where that is underway and thinking about kind of competitors, is there a way to benchmark now around what that increase that we are hoping for in enrollment around athletics? You know, what are competitors seeing when they introduce like a touch football effort or some other type of around the athletics? Because we know that I think our hypothesis obviously is that more athletics bring in more kids. It's a recruitment tool. So I'm just thinking about when we come to, is this something that we replicate? You know, understanding what kind of bump it is actually going to provide over this year and next year to the Hampton campus.
We have seen an increase in applications at Hampton this year compared to last year. We surveyed our current students as well, and they do seem to be excited about the sport. They themselves identify that they will say with more sports options. But certainly that's something that we'll be able to watch over time. And we're working with our agency now also to do a bigger promotion of the track.
And I think that I go to the vet down Hampton, right, take my horse to the vet, and just seeing the progress is really exciting for me, driving, because it's such a busy thoroughfare too, that unlike a lot of the other campuses, it has a direct line of sight to that thing. So I think anything we can do to, you know, get the community excited and see the progress is really good.
Like, you said something interesting, to me, that not everybody who stays or wants to go to Hampton are actually athletes. People want to go to a school where there is a football team or where there is a soccer team or, so it's not just attracting athletes, it's attracting
School culture and pride. It's literally, that's what the kids told us when we surveyed them. There's some percentage who absolutely want to do band, cheer, football, drill team, all the things, but there's a larger group who just wants to be associated with it and go to it and have that be a part of their campus experience. We still see in South Dallas, loud noise. We know, like I mentioned, which of this campus is that the enrollment's not where we want it to be, and we know for each one, kind of what's the theme or themes for every family, but what is something that seems to be popping in that school? It might be they had a high number of teacher vacancies this past year, like, which is a real thing. My child didn't have a permanent teacher, or we aren't happy with campus communication, or we think there's too much fighting in the school. But in South Dallas, like, it's clear, like, it's we want a more robust school experience. The kids use it over to describe it, but they want that as part of it. And I think we'll really see the impact on the re-enrollment. Like right now, the kids have to imagine it. I think it's really going to be the end of next school year after they've experienced it for a year. So that what that sense is. But it's the campus that has the loudest noise around that. There's a specific. Yeah, but you can imagine it's like in the heart of the football happening.
Well, and I think my question is, how does this inform long-term strategy for the other campuses? Like, is this something you want to replicate?
So, yes, and I've been asked that question, and I would say the next place that I would take is Fort Worth. I think it would be incredibly compelling, and Deborah had the idea of like bringing back the Mighty Mites and how special that would be. Obviously, like incredibly, we could have the football team made up of orphans, where Uplift Mighty is located on the Masonic home. There's a little movie about it, a book about. And so I think what we're hoping is we can make the proof point in South Dallas. It's a lot of money raised to do this, no insignificant amount, and we're going to have to show a proof point in the first year or two to them, be able to say this is why. But to me, that's the second community.
Other questions?
All right, so moving on to the specific specifics around the financials, just taking us back to this school year and what we had voted into the original budget plan for 2024 school year. We had 303.8 million of revenue, 287 million relative to operating expenditure with a 94% ADA. The enrollment number planned was 22,569. So where we're at today, based on the latest information that I have, I do have some silver lining within besides the fact that I am trending down on my enrollment and ADA, I am actually mitigating some of that revenue loss, which if I look at the about 500 students that were off and the 1% ADA, that would equate for about 8 million total of lost revenue. But I'm mitigating that by getting higher donations and grants thanks to Deborah and team in the tune of around 2.5 million. And then I'm equally seeing about 2.7 million offset coming from our SPED, CTE, ESL population. So those things net, I'm actually landing where I'm really only off by $2 million on our revenue. So that's helping us a lot. And then as far as the expenditure drivers, the primary driver for the decrease is really around staff vacancies. We have been effectively put back some of our expenditures as well to be smart about it. That being said, we still are trending to be higher than our debt service ratio that we need to deliver in the tune of about a 1.4. On days cash on hand right now, I am at 86 days, so well above our debt covenants. I'm in good shape for this year. That being said, I also am being planful for next year. And sorry this is so small, but I'll talk you through it all. But basically, the better revenue, because we are getting better revenue and we've managed our expenditures well for 2024, we do have an opportunity to reinvest some of that upside to help us mitigate the headwind that we're going into next year. So instead of taking a full cost of living increase and increasing all of our teacher salary schedules accordingly, we're looking at the proposition of leveraging some of that upside in the tune of a one-time bonus payout that would basically be like a retention bonus. So for those teachers that stay on with us and commit to next year, we will commit to them to give them a particular bonus pay that will help compensate for the lack of teacher salary schedule changes. That being said, they still will get their increase on the year to year. So if they go up from 1 year to 2 years, they appropriately adjust accordingly. So we think that that's the best way to deploy those some of that upside and keep us in a place where we'll still be competitive for next year. That being said, also I just want to call out that our peers are also doing this. I'm on a regular touch base with other charter CFOs in Texas, and pretty much everyone is taking some level of approach like this to help mitigate the no state funding increase in 2025. We are continuing to work through the logistics of what that plan is going to look like. We will bring you guys along in the next board meeting on the specifics of that, as well as the details around the 2025 budget. We're making really good progress on the 2025 budget. I feel really optimistic that we have a good plan in place to deliver, and that we're going to do everything we over committing ourselves, given that we have no state funding adjustment happening. Otherwise, like most of those other updates, we will go through in more depth. I have a finance and strategy committee meeting with John and the broader team May 21st. And then we have the board review on the 28th, so we'll go through a pretty close to finalized budget at that point. And we should be in good shape to submit our final budget for the 2026 school year to CPA before the June 30th deadline. Any questions?
Okay, so the point of clarification, the 22052 or whatever the number was along there.
And it doesn't tie to Amanda's number?
Okay, number one, I was interested in tying to Amanda's, which I understand. She said there was sort of leakage downwards, that maybe you can help us understand that. But also, is that, since the numbers, as I understand it, tend to trend a little bit down over the course of the year, is that average for the fiscal year we're in?
So there are a couple distinctions on that number, and thank you for bringing me back to that. Our budgeted number is one going to include 50% for our pre-K scholars, which Amanda's is going to include a full head count.
Because the state.
Because we only get 50% funding for those scholars. So, and I'll try to be better about calling that out in our, whenever I have an update, whether it's handled that way or not. But that piece, and then yes, it is an average number over the entire school year.
And Amanda's number is not that,
Versus a point in time.
that's what I thought. You said current enrollment.
So Deborah and I talked about this, but I wanted to just bring it up. And you said, because you mentioned the grants and the development have helped offset this deficit to allow us to do these things. I think more clarity around what philanthropic dollars are coming in, how they're applied, because I know that obviously there's complexity between what the state is covering versus what those philanthropic dollars are. So I just, going forward, Deborah and I talked about adding something in around what that number is and like how are you accounting for that? Because I think it can kind of get.
Yeah, and there is like I would just caution a level of like variance that depending on how you're gonna look at it, because my revenue number that I'm gonna project for you guys is gonna be what is going to actually be on my income statement. So, if it is something that has like timing relative for revenue recognition, I may not recognize that full amount. In addition, if it's capital expenditure versus operating, that also will potentially cause some variance between. So that's where probably Deborah and I just need to sync up on like what are the numbers that are going to be most useful for the board to have the full transparency into. But in general, of the 300 million, about 8 of that is going to be private donation and grants.
Yeah, and I think as we think about development, and the need now because of the legislature and the things that are just not, we can't trust as much anymore. That development number may grow over that 8 million or become a larger part of your annual budget over the next several years. So, just getting the board in the habit of understanding how that pie is sliced as we refocus or continue to focus on philanthropic dollars, I think is going to be important for everybody just to understand where it is and what it's actually being attributed to,
Absolutely.
And that leads me to the question that you also just mentioned, and that is, college and career is not covered by the state dollars. That was, I inferred personally, no one told me this, I just inferred that that is because it wasn't required and it wasn't done at that level in the public districts. Now that the public districts are doing this,
Yeah. So there's just a little nuance to it. Previously, before the state state would not allow us to fund any of our alumni support programs, that part of the college and career. So any of the, help a young person get certified as a medical assistant after they graduated, or any of our alumni counselors that help a student persist in college and graduate, because they were not considered as members of the pre-K through 12th grade system, we were not allowed to use it, and we could only use philanthropy. Once the state introduced the CCMR bonus dollars, they gave more flexibility and said now, because other school districts are trying to expand their college advising, you now can use your CCMR bonus dollars to go towards that. But our programs are so robust, they cannot be covered by simply the CCMR bonus dollars, because what the state did is they basically took down the per student rate we got for high school students as a guarantee and said, you're getting now a little bit less per student, but you have the ability to earn it back and get more through your bonus program. So, I don't know if it's too complicated, but that's like, in essence, what happens. So the technical answer is, today, we can use the state's bonus dollars for our college and career program, but it's not enough to cover our total expenses. And so to your question of like where the operating dollars go, we can absolutely break it out, but the two largest buckets goes towards our well-being program and our local college and career program that cover the operating costs. Most of our local college and career staff at the central office are connected to.
And I think, we see that in the development report, when we see the development report in the broad report.
Making sure everybody's.
Yeah, and then comparing it with this helps drive the clarity across how those two things connect together.
Perfect.
Other questions? Yeah, unless there are any. Okay, hearing none, thank you very much, Leslie and Amanda. Next, we will hear from Remy on our Heights Healthcare High School. Remy?
Well, speaking of Rhodes College career philanthropy, going to give you guys an update on our Uplift Heights Healthcare Institute. So just quickly, two things that we've probably been working the hardest on are the construction and then further developing the program and student exposure. So I'm really excited that we completed our construction contract with Integrity. Many of you guys may be familiar, this is a long-time partner contractor that we've worked with for a long time. They're also doing that Uplift Hampton athletic complex as well, and so we completed the contract and it's on budget for about $900,000. The renovations will start June 1st, so the school leaders and teachers will have to quickly get all their things out of the building so that we can begin the actual renovation on the campus for our, the new renovations and the simulation labs that we will put in the school. Deborah and Yasmin and the team have been working really hard on branding. Thank you guys for doing that. That work with Baylor, Scott, and White, just so that in the school both brands live together, both Baylor and Uplift. And so really super excited about some of the things that I saw a couple of the preliminary works that how that will come to be in high school. In regards to the programming and scholar exposure updates, we are hiring a healthcare high school program director who will work on campus, who will run and facilitate the program. With that first group of kiddos, with all the kiddos, eventually go down to the ninth graders, and someone to support with program management at the network level. There's just a lot of moving pieces to get this thing off the ground, and so over the next month, hopefully, by the next time I give you guys an update, we will hire those folks and they've been onboarded to support the program. Our rising ninth graders have a really awesome opportunity to go to Baylor, Scott, and White coming up. I know we talked about in prior meetings how we went to go see them. We had people from Baylor, Scott, and White go and see the scholars and do like a panel so that the scholars can ask questions. Now they're going to actually go to Baylor, Scott, and White facility to actually go and just try out all the different pathways. So it seems like a super exciting experience. The Baylor staff has been pretty awesome around thinking about how to design it to make sure it's a meaningful day. They call it the takeover of their actual facility.
Because we are going to take over.
So there are over 175 students on campus that day. So the rising ninth graders, and then they were trying to get some of the other kiddos who don't actually go to Uplift Heights to also attend, who will be attending school as well. So that should be a lot of fun for them. We actually our teachers go over 2 weeks ago to have like a similar experience to get them equally as excited about what's to be next year. What I'm going to share next is like the continuing of the refining of the pathways. When we met with Bloomberg, they gave us a lot of feedback around like what we needed to include into the different. So I'm really proud so far what the team has. They're still in draft form, so we'll love if you've got any questions or feedback about them. I'd love to hear it. But just some clarity around what's the actual coursework may look like, a little bit of coursework, but also career pathways in terms of what options are available if a student chooses a certain pathway, and then if they decide to go straight to workforce or go to college. And so these are just mock-ups that you guys will see today, and so they continue to refine these pathways. There's a lot of text here, but I want you to just get like I'll just read the top one. So if you recall, there are 4 pathways that we'll have offered in the school: biomedical science, nursing, healthcare therapeutic, and healthcare operations for scholars who don't want the patient-facing side of the work. The first column just says the common courses. So there will be a set of common courses. There are probably a few more than those that every scholar will take in the high school. So 9th grade will probably look very similar for scholars. As you see, like in that next column, it says the pathway courses. So we try to outline what courses that are specific to that pathway that students will take. Each scholar will have a practicum during their junior or senior year that they will have to participate in. And then it gives an idea for scholars and families what are the actual jobs that scholars will be able to have once they complete the program. So for students going directly into workforce, we listed the type of jobs and certifications they would need to have. And then for students who are going on to post-secondary college coursework, what type of jobs would be available. So we wanted to make sure we were clear around exactly what are the pathways and what type of career opportunities would be afforded to our students who are going through the program themselves. On the next slide, even more smaller text. This just gives you an idea of one particular pathway. So this is a student who went to go into diagnostic and therapy services. So it talks about what are the elective courses the students will offer. Down at the bottom in that first column, it goes, the common courses that we shared earlier, but also the dual credit options. So we want to make sure that we're cutting off time that a student would have to either go to a college or 2-year or 4-year college, that we're planning to make sure they have a dual credit opportunity while they're with us. And so those are things that we'll work out with our college partners. We'll continue the conversation around what that will look like. After that next column talks about what the actual practical experience will look like for students. And so you'll see that they have the AP internship at Baylor. And so this gives just more detail. The student wanted to go directly to the workforce and say they want to be a radiology assistant. It gives the minimum salary for that particular role. The student said, no, I want to go ahead and get my certification and get my associate's degree and be a radiological tech. Then my minimum salary is $26 an hour. If I want to go even further, say I got that certification and get even more certification, it gives a multi-modality tech and then the salary would be there. We just want parents and students to have clarity around what exactly are the options that will be available to them through going through this particular healthcare high school. And so the team is building out several of these so that as we have conversations with students over the next several years, they are making informed decisions and we're able to design a coursework to meet their needs and to make sure they meet those expectations.
And of course, if they are working as a radiology assistant at $15 an hour, if Baylor's not my help, they'll get tuition support, right? So then they can maybe choose to work part-time and be going to school for that one extra year because of the dual credit class that Glenn mentioned on the far left column. You've shaved off a year of time for them, right? So they can get tuition covered and move up to that next rank, and then get into the same exact thing if they want with another 9 months of study. And so what I hope y'all will take away from this slide is when you get asked in the community, the ISD, Grand Prairie ISD, they all have healthcare high schools. You don't understand how is what Uplift is doing with Google different. I want you to think about the far two left column. If you go to Grand Prairie ISD, go to Dubisky, their relationship with you ends when you became a radiology assistant at $15 an hour, right? Because we are partnered with Baylor Scott White Health as our direct employer, our alumni team, and their workforce I think that's like super important to understand and differentiate.
So just so we can champion as
Yes.
well, as you say, for the right hands to college.
Yes,
When the scholars go, graduates, when they go do these
Yes.
things, they've already graduated from our Uplift high
yes,
school.
and they've now been transitioned to our alumni team.
But our alumni team is still coaching them.
Yes,
Our
along with the
employees
Baylor
on
workforce development
together.
together to steward them to the next phase. It's not that someone at Tedeschi can't go automatically like enroll or be recommended to enroll in the fourth column. But to my knowledge, there's no one at Tedeschi or at Grand Prairie ISD that's making sure they do that something. And that's why sometimes young adults get trapped in the third column, if there's not a strong manager or someone formally pulling them along the way.
Two questions. The left-hand dual credit, maybe I should know who is actually offering those courses, where will the students go to get those courses?
So the answer right now is Dallas College or UTA will be the partners that we work with. It just depends. We might be at a place where we can offer them on-site at Heights, if we just have the teacher has the right credential, or they would have to take the course, on the university campus. And so it just really depends on, like, the scheduling and things of that sort. So we have dual credit courses now, it just really depends if we have the certified adult, an adult who can offer the courses.
And then the second one is a big global question, which is how are you syncing this up with IB?
That's a good question. That's the gold star question.
Right now.
Yeah, so it's actually like one of the things that we really are wrestling with, transparently. One of the pathways, I think, biomedical sciences, there'll probably be a pathway, I might get this wrong, one of the pathways we're using is where we think that students who want to be a medical doctor, they've already made the decision, I want to be pre-med. IB is like the right program for them because they have very competitive college application. So for instance, if you're in a minor medical sciences grade, instead of doing credit on this, on this particular one, it would probably say that the IB courses would be the courses that you would take. So they will have to sit side by side, but this requires a lot of thoughtfulness, and this is why the dual credit question is really important, because we might have to use most of our in-house staff to deliver IB content. We might have to rely heavily on Dallas College to offer dual credit. So there will just have to be some decisions that we have to make in terms of who's best or well suited to offer the courses. But we believe that currently in planning, two of the pathways will probably go more than IB routes, but the two of the other pathways will probably go more the dual credit routes.
This is great. Just a piece of feedback on the previous slide. As students look to compare the different pathways. I know this is a draft one, and it's coming together really well. I'd be curious if you could include the salaries, one and annual, because in my mind, it's hard, $15, $26 can sound like very much money, but $30,000 and $52,000 is actually like very meaningful. And then potentially 5 years out and 10 years out. So I know if I pick this path, I might actually make 100K, but I'm 28. If I pick this path, I might not. Just because this is ultimately a financial decision, just like a decision to go to college. So just some feedback, I think it's awesome.
I appreciate that feedback.
Enrollment data, yeah, or is it too early? Like from this program?
Oh, you mean is our ninth grade cohort full?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're tracking to,
Yes.
we'll
Is
meet.
it different than it was last year?
It's not apples to apples. We have 7 sections of like 25 smaller classes this year. I mean, I could look at what last year was, but it's just a little bit different. I think we had a lot of interest both from Uplift Heights scholars staying up into the program, as well as we had a number of transfers from other Uplift schools where we just went out to like other applicants. And so the interest from within Uplift has been quite strong.
It's blocking families from 7 to
I'm just thinking about how hard it is for them to actually imagine how this is going to work. And so this is very good.
Yeah, that is actually, you guys were asking about what happens after the program. It's actually too, right now, it's like in the program, it's like super important, like even the counseling support. Like I'm thinking about a counselor who's gonna have to know a lot of information in terms of like future pathways and conversations. So every scholar is supposed to go through the summer program. It's like an orientation that students can have. Our goal is to be able to have all of this completed and a thoughtful way to go through this so that it's not overwhelming to students. So it might be something we stagger over the first course of the year because they're just getting exposed to all the pathways. But we will have to, the goal is to be able to use this with kids and parents, especially starting as early as summer orientation. But, again, we've got some more flushing to do of this particular document. I think it's really important to me that these are both kid-facing and parent-facing. And also we just got to get a way to make sure our counselors can support the parents and kids in making really good decisions over the next couple of years.
Does this program fall under your purview?
Yes.
That's
I've got a wonderful team.
High five.
Yeah, I've got a wonderful
Yeah,
team.
high five, Remy.
Wonderful team, and Yasmin and Deborah have been super supportive.
We were picking pink colors today, Remy, and I'm not joking. What do you think of the shade of gray? Yeah. HCAS was sending us an email, like, Remy has the massive heavy lift versus low.
So a question on that, so you said that there was 2 positions being hired, right? So one network and one school base. So will that person report to the director of school? Or how does that, how are you thinking of that?
You're going to be a little bit of trouble here.
I know.
It was
It's actually
actually
a lot.
controversial at this point. If it is a director level, they would have to report centrally because the became this academic center. So currently we have it reporting centrally. It's to like the managing director who supports the entire school. So they both have the same supervisor, but they would report to the managing director. And the program manager reports to, I'm not sure if you guys remember last name, Sophia von Myers, my former strategic advisor, is now the senior director over the pathway programs, who's running like a low point on most of this. They were reporting directly into me.
And Sophia has a pure on the video top health side that they hired. He's basically program manager, he's also a very senior person, overseeing all of their multiple pieces of that.
Okay.
Other questions? So very interesting. Thank you so much, Ryan. Excited. Next, we will hear from Yasmin on the upcoming senior decision day.
It's super easy, guys. It's May 21st. Please come, and please bring a friend. I literally don't even have, like, this is my slide, and it's gonna take 30 seconds. So, the VIP reception that thank you though is 11 to 11:30, and then the start is at 11:30 of the program. My recommendation is, like, guests do not need to sit through 2 hours and 1,000 seniors making their choices. We like doing it, but, guests don't. So my recommendation when you bring guests is show up at 11 and plan to leave at 12:30. That way they're there for the reception and they're there for the first hour of the program. So please come yourself and please think about one friend that you would like to bring. It's a completely free event. I think it's a great example of our mission in action to show what we do. So it's a great opportunity to bring people. Yes, ma'am.
And there will be prospective new trustees at the event. I'm asking anybody who's cleared X amount of the process to please show up also, so be friendly.
Yes, and what we'll do is we'll put on their name tag like prospective board members, so that way we'll figure out some way of identifying them. So oh, I need to go up and say hello to that person. And we want you to say hi to everybody, but particularly you can join in on those fronts. That's it.
All right.
Great.
Thank you, Yasmin. Next up is Alex for 5 administrative action items. Alex, you're up.
I know there's several, but we're going to get through these quickly. First and foremost, we have the board minutes from the February 27th, 2024 meeting. Those were included in your pre-read as always. A Unless there are any questions, I will go ahead and ask Colin.
Is there a motion to approve the February 27, 2024 board meeting minutes as presented?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Are there any votes against the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved by unanimous vote. Okay, next.
Great, thank you. So as we do every year, we have to approve and certify to TDA that for the next coming year, for this year is the 2024-2025 instructional year. For the materials we are going to utilize next year, meet all of the standard TEKS assessment requirements. The survey was included in your pre-read. It is a simple road and certification from you all on that. Unless there are questions on that.
Is there a motion to approve the 2024-25 instructional materials allotment survey and TEKS or TEKS certification form for TEA as presented?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Very much. Are there any votes against the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved by unanimous vote. Next.
All right, not that these aren't all a lot of fun, but this one is particularly enjoyable because as we are moving to the transition to Uplift Heights, the Healthcare Institute, we get to now officially change the name of the school, which we're going to submit to TDA effective July 1st of this year, to be Uplift Heights, the Uplift Heights Healthcare Institute. Pretty straightforward. Is there any questions?
I think TEKS is fine, but this is more fun. I agree.
TEKS is a great time.
Is there a motion?
TEKS is fun.
Absolutely. Is there a motion to approve the resolution, and this is an exciting one, for the TEA non-expansion amendment, let me see if I'll bring it real fast, to change the name of Uplift Heights Preparatory High School to Uplift Heights Healthcare Institute as presented?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Are there any votes against the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved by unanimous vote. What an exciting.
Yeah, so just as exciting, we are doing some shifting on the pre-K side. A few years ago, we, in effect, what the board did was house Uplift Williams pre-K at our Uplift Triumph campus. We are now at a place because of space and to optimize enrollment purposes. We are recommending we shift Uplift Williams pre-K back to its home site at Uplift Williams. This requires approval of resolution and a modification amendment. Once we have y'all's vote, just like the name change, we will submit to TDA to be effective July 1st of this school year.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the resolution for the TEA non-expansion amendment to relocate Uplift Williams Preparatory Primary School pre-K from its second site at Uplift Triumph Preparatory Primary School to Uplift Williams Preparatory Primary School as presented?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. Are there any votes against the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved by unanimous vote. It's hard to say Williams Preparatory Primary School really fast. Okay, last item, Alex.
All right, so last but not least, as Yasmin included in her email with pre-read, we are in the process of creating, we are very near done with it, the Uplift Education Foundation, a separate 501c3 to support in totality Uplift education with things like funding and investing and cool things like scholarships and fun things like that. As part of this process, we have created an MOU between Uplift Education and the Uplift Education Foundation. It spells out very, very high level at this point, just sort of what that relationship is going to look like. For relationship purposes, number one, number two, because we are going to be utilizing some Uplift Education staff to support the Uplift Education Foundation, we need to account for what we call improper gift of public funds, which means we cannot just sort of give away, Uplift Education cannot give away its resources. We have to account for those resources. And in doing so, the board has to approve an MOU or a resolution, in this case an MOU, that spells out the public purpose, that being that the dollars from the foundation are going to be used solely for Uplift education, things like control, as is stated in the MOU, the Uplift Education Board is going to have full control on how those dollars are used and such. So it's a 4 or 5 page document, but very high level. That is kind of what does not get into specifics or nuances as far as how investments are going to work now, what that's going to look like. That is all to be determined. Oh, sorry, memorandum of understanding. It's kind of a contract, right?
Is this primarily so that you can have a long-term gift that sits not year over year, not your public fund?
Yes. So basically, we have a few donors who are interested in making a statement to Uplift.
Yes.
And they would not want to make an statement to Uplift the public school system. And we're limited to only being able to invest those dollars in treasury. So that's why many large public charter school systems like that have a foundation where that way you go, and that, because the other alternative, is someone goes and puts it in Dallas Foundation and tags it to us, but this way we can receive it. This would like our own Dallas Foundation in that way, and we have more freedom in terms of making investments of those dollars. They're still conservative, right? It's not speculative about it, but it's more of a treasury.
Well, I was just thinking, when you take scholarships, then it's such a, okay, this distinction has to be not within calendar year funds, right?
It's definitely a more multi-year type of situation. You wouldn't take in, and you might decide to, but honestly, like, if it's a transactional grant that happens in 1 year, if we'll be taking the money and we're gonna spend it in the same year for operating purposes, you likely wouldn't put it in the foundation.
Do you work with outside investment management?
Yes, yes. And so, we have 3 former board chairs who are serving as the board's foundation, the foundation board, the foundation board, and they've introduced us to outside firms that Leslie and I have been interviewing who like do this kind of stuff.
For transparency's sake, the 3 board members are.
Oh, sorry, Melissa McNeil, Richard Whitehart, and Ryan Moss.
Any other questions?
No. So, I mean, there is some, like, things like the Public Information Act. There's sort of a segue compliance piece. By way of example, if somebody wanted to take a look at some formation documents or some other documents that we may have, or education may have, with the Uplift Education Foundation, Uplift Education would be required to provide those documents. So, from that perspective, there are some nuanced items there, but for the most part, no. And, from a very general standpoint, education foundations are very, very common. Just about every ISD that I represent in South Carolina, everybody that I represent in former life has their own foundation. So it's super small.
Because of the separation of public school.
Yeah, there's just a lot more leeway and flexibility with what you can do.
Any other questions? Good? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between Uplift Education and the Uplift Education Foundation as presented?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any votes against the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved by unanimous vote. Thank you. The board is now going to retire to what I expect will be a brief closed session to deliberate items that we are allowed to deliberate in closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074 and to conduct a private consultation with the board's attorney pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071. So we'll ask all the staff to step up and down for a moment. We'll turn. Yes, would you like to come back over here? Not
Sure.
Just note for the record that the board did retire to closed session to deliberate various items that it is permitted to deliberate on pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074 and to conduct a private consultation with its attorney pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071. We are now back in open session. Time is 5:59. Is there any other business to come before the board? If there is not, then the meeting is adjourned, and the time is now 5:59. Thank you all very much.